Uh, Hi, good evening, guys. Today is a very special session that we have with Manish Gautam. We will come to him a little. In fact, the entire session is based on him. Manish is going to IIM Ahmedabad in probably about a couple of weeks' time, and we will speak about his entire journey of how he went through the preparation process. We will understand his background. We will understand the strategies that he had uh, undertaken, the individual sectional strategies, the interviews, distractions, how many WhatsApp groups was he part of, all those things we will be discussing. Before we start off, and this is the only piece of promotion which is going to be there in the entire part. Uh, if you would like to enroll for our courses, the link for LRDI and Quant courses are available on the description of this video. We also have a Telegram group. If you want to join, the link is available. If you want WhatsApp lists, you can enroll on that WhatsApp list. Please do share this video with your friends who are preparing for CAT and other MBA entrance examinations. If you like it, please do share, please do subscribe to our YouTube channel, as well as like and follow us on Facebook to get all the notifications for any events that we conduct as we go through. Okay, another piece of advisory. Manish is actually visiting is in his village about 30 kilometers from Patna. We will know more about that. So the bandwidth may not be that great. So I have put the video on a slightly lower setting than we have usually. Okay, so Manish, let's start with very simple. I mean, like when you got the news that you're actually going to go to IIM Ahmedabad, how did you feel? Did you cry?
I mean, I was no, I did not.
Okay.
That week has been actually pretty rough.
Mm-hmm.
I was out on work somewhere 240 kilometers from my general work in Pune. I had to travel 240 kilometers to Aurangabad, some work done. I had worked overnight, and I came back. I have this motion sickness thing. While coming back, I was really feeling sick. I felt like vomiting. And I remember I was in my room. I was talking to one of my friends, and I kept getting calls. I couldn't figure out. So that's when I finally decided to cut the call and pick up, others calling. So someone said, IIM Ahmedabad results are out. Please check. And I said, okay, let me check. So I remember typing in registration number and email ID, and the next word that I could read was congratulations. I tried reading, beyond that, I could not process it. I reading it twice and thrice, just to be sure that this has happened. So that was the initial state of mind.
Mm-hmm. Who was the first person you called? Your parents?
Obviously, my mother. I called her.
Okay.
And my father was
okay.
I told them.
Yeah. Okay. For the purpose of disclosure, given that we all have all the scripted and unscripted interviews, we do have a flow, and this was shared with Manish. We will be, I mean, these are basically questions which people have asked throughout, and we will be covering all those things. But the answers, I'm not sure Manish has written the answers like somebody we know. So Manish, tell us a little bit about your background. Like tell us about your schooling. How did you go about? How did you grow, and what did you do in your college and your work, etc.?
Yeah. So I grew up in this place called Jamshedpur. It's in Jharkhand. It is popularly known for housing a lot of Tata companies. I did my 12th until there. Then I moved on to NIT Warangal to pursue my mechanical engineering. Spent four years there. In my final year, I wrote CAT. Just like that. I mean, I did not know anything. I did not even know that there are questions in CAT exam. But I wrote it anyway. Moving on, I came to Bajaj Auto. I was selected into project management group. I was working as a project manager there, looking after these new bikes, especially the youngsters who are seeing or would do this. these KTM, yellow, orange bikes that you saw. I was the one launching them. So for the past 3 years, I have been working as project manager while simultaneously preparing till here and there for CAT. Coming to my family, uh, I we are a family of four. My father works for Bihar government. My mother is a housewife, and my brother is like physics lecturer at Allen Institute.
Okay. So let's start with a general idea of how your preparation was. I mean, you said like this is not your first attempt at CAT as such. So see, most people who repeat CAT, they usually start a little late. I mean, they don't start immediately like in February or March or something like that. Most people start a little late. Was that the same with you? I mean, like, did you also start a little late? I mean, like versus say people who are preparing for the very first time. When did you actually get into the mood that okay, I have to do this?
Uh, so I'll start with the very beginning. So in college final year, the day I entered the college, I got placed. I got placed with Bajaj Auto. First placement done, and I had like nothing to do. I thought, what can be done? I don't want to go for government jobs, so I did not fill gate exam. So someone told me, "Are cat likh dete." So I went on, filled the form, and then I forgot about it. So it so happens, this is in November, that a friend of mine, he comes to me and says, "Bro, we have an exam tomorrow." I said, "Shut up, man. Tomorrow is Sunday. Lab exam is day after tomorrow." And then that's when he tells me that tomorrow is CAT exam. And he had the reason he came to me was, to see if we had gotten a similar slot and the location was same so that we can join together.
This is CAT
It was not
2015.
neither 15. This
Yeah.
is 4 years from now.
Mm-hmm.
So finally, I decided, okay, now I have downloaded the admit card and I know that exam is tomorrow. Let's go. So I lived in Warangal. There was no center in Warangal. I had to travel to Hyderabad. I went there. I did not know what is the syllabus. I thought the exam was of 3.5 hours. It was written on the admit card. I did not know, there are three sections, right? I did not know there were three sections. I just wrote it anyway. The good part, I scored 96.8 marks. So I was beyond, I was elated. I have done nothing, prepared nothing, and scored 96.8. Next year, which is first year into Bajaj Auto, I thought last year I didn't prepare anything. This year I'll prepare for 3 days. I'll get even better. I did not. I got 92.2. That's when reality check happened for me. I understood that I have to prepare seriously. It's not a piece of cake. I have to put in the number of hours that I need to put in to get well. So second year into Bajaj Auto, I finally started preparing somewhere around April. This was year before last year. So
That's
I
2017. This is
I
for CAT
started preparing
2017.
for this was for CAS 2017, and I was preparing rigorously well. I had a small group. I was leading all of them, so I felt I am at the top of the world and I am going to. And I took only one test series. I was not exposed to a variety of questions. This is the test that I took. So in the end, what happened is I did English. I did good in quant. I got more than 60 marks in both of them. But I really, I couldn't do well in DILR. In fact, I failed miserably in DILR. I got 49 percentile and somewhere around 8.5 marks compared to 60 plus in English. And my overall percentiles was around 94, 95 percentile. So that was like a really pretty bad time because from the final I had decided that I am going to go to a beast 2 years of work experience, and here I was with 2 years of work experience and a percentile which could end, nowhere. So finally, so there's this scene He's currently studying in IIM Ahmedabad. His name is Dabarnav. Vivek sir knows him. So he went last year and he has work experience of 3 years. And he told me, Manish, having 3 years of work experience right now is better than 2 years. So 3 years has now become the peak thing rather than 2 years. I was like, anyway, I don't have an option. I'm going to prepare again this year. So this year, so they were me about this course from Shankran sir, the DILR course that I took. So that is the time, and again I started somewhere around mid May or June, not May. I started somewhere around mid June, and I took the course somewhere around July. So that was the time when I had to. I knew I had to really focus on DILR because if my past experiences with CAT exam, the real CAT exam had told me that I was doing okay in quant and good in English. So I had to really focus on DILR. I took Shankaran sir's DILR course, went through it bit by bit, and I could actually see my scores improving. This is not a promotional event. This has happened to me.
Thank you.
So
Thank you for your words. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So
So what we'll look at it is we'll look at your each section, how you went about going through each section, what were the roadblocks, etc. that you faced. But overall, in general, like I mean, you said like you started preparing seriously for CAT 2018 around June end, mid June end, right? So I will just quickly go through it. I mean, like some of the things which you had discussed. You said like you this time around you took again only one mock series, or how many mocks did you take this time around?
no, this time I registered for all three biggies:
Okay.
career launcher, time, and IMS. I
Okay.
did not personally. I did not like IMS as much. Time and career launcher were good.
Okay.
Well, contrary to what others are
This
saying,
is your
I
this
mean,
is
a
your
lot
this
of
is
my
this is
friends
your
were
personal
really,
opinion. Yeah, that is perfectly fine. Yeah.
yeah. So a lot of guys really liked IMS. I did not personally. I loved career launcher and they were good.
Okay.
Time because a lot of people are writing, so you get to know the exact level.
Okay. And roughly how many mocks you would have taken on out of
This year, I think close to 45, 50.
45 to 50 mocks, not like 100
Yeah.
plus.
So I had actually so a little story about it. 1 minute of your time. So when I was in Jamshedpur, I did not know anything about chicken biryani. Then I came to Warangal, which is the hub, which is very close to Hyderabad, and which is the Andhra chicken biryani. And I grew fond of chicken biryani. So in Pune, I found this very good place, the only place where I love chicken biryani. So I made myself a promise that if I write 2 mocks every week, so I got 2 weeks. So my plan was, writing 1 week, take 2 weekends, writing one mock in the morning, analyzing it over in the, during the evening, and writing another mock in the very next day, doing same thing over. So I made myself this promise: if I take 2 mocks in a weekend, I'm going to reward myself with a chicken biryani. And I think that happened. I really miss the chicken biryani treat that I gave to myself.
Okay. Okay. So let's go to your individual section plan. Okay. We'll start with verbal. You said that you are reasonably good with verbal. Why do you think you were good with verbal?
Uh, so I was always I had grown up from I had studied in a English medium school, and I that made me okay with speaking and writing in English. Uh, then in my third year, I was very much to newspaper. So the entirety of my third year in my engineering, I read the Hindu newspaper, which I found really good. I did not know it was going to help me so much in the future. I just read it and it really helped me later on. Uh, After that final year was chill. I did not read Hindu newspaper. Same thing happened with first year. So altogether combined, I would say I have read that newspaper for 2 years, and that is the only preparation I have for VARC section. I have not done anything,
Okay.
nothing else.
Uh,
Just that and the mocks.
okay. So one thing which people tend to overlook. I mean, like while VARC, there is not a lot to cover as such, but it's very difficult to measure improvements in VARC as such. Like, I mean, you don't know when you're getting it right. You don't know when. I mean, in maths, you know that okay, I cannot solve this problem. In English, in LRDI, you know, okay, this is a tough sort of a problem. In English, it's very difficult. I mean, it's sometimes very difficult to figure out like whether you're going right or whether you're going wrong. What was your accuracy in mocks when you used to take English, and was there a dip somewhere?
Uh, Not really. English has been my forte actually. This year, half of my total marks have come from English. I have scored 83 marks in English actually.
Wow.
So yeah, I couldn't believe it either.
No, I mean, usually
So
as you grow older, your English scores improve. I mean, because you generally tend to read a little. I mean, this is my personal experience also. I mean, your English. I mean, if you're in the habit of reading, then your English scores automatically improve as you grow older and older. So that is
correct.
okay.
Plus, even if you're working in an office, most of the time you need to convert. So, that also contributes to the fact that your English is improved.
Okay.
So my overall efficiency or accuracy in English was close to 70%. But my attempts
You,
were
you-
very huge.
so you attempted
I
every
used to
question.
like almost. I barely attempted. There was barely any time that I could recall that I attempted less than 30 questions out of 34.
Okay.
So 70% of that is 20.
21, 21, 22. So about 60 plus your
21. So I
score.
used to get around 50-50, counting the negative.
Yeah.
And then there were non-negatives also, right? So 50-55 was my general score in English um, during the mocks.
And it
Coming
never
to the
fell. So you never had a.
sometimes it would dip to, but not below that.
Mhm.
I hadn't seen below that.
Okay. What do you think is the thing that people tend to focus a lot on in English, but it ends up like not being asked, or you think that it is not being asked in these exams? Sort of like an overhyped
I think,
area.
yeah, from the beginning, from the time I started preparing for CAT, uh, this perception that you have to be really good in vocabulary. Uh,
Mhm.
I don't think you need to be very good in vocabulary to be really good in VARC. VARC in CAT is more about being able to comprehend the passages and the questions. I have rarely seen a passage where I couldn't understand the passage as a whole because I could not understand a word.
Okay.
So more than vocabulary, I think understanding the passages is more important.
Okay. Uh, let's go to the next section, which people spend I mean, almost all the time is spent over there, which is maths. Okay. Now you are an engineer. You are supposed to be good in maths, right? So how much of formulas, etc., did you actually remember or mug up, etc.? I mean, like, what do you think is like? Because I mean, obviously, given the range of mocks that you have taken, there are some mocks which are very easy. There are some mocks which are very difficult. And this year's quant tended to be a little difficult than what came out in the last year's quant paper.
It was lengthy.
Yeah,
It
it
was
was
lengthy.
lengthy. It was, I mean, people found it difficult. I mean, they found it very exhausting as such. But uh, what do you consider like to be a area where people
Uh,
should definitely focus on in maths?
First of all, the the misnomer that all engineers are good in math, it's not correct. I am a live example. So I did reasonably well in my final year in maths. The next year I did not do well. The thing is, it's just like an object. You will have to study to do well in that.
Mhm.
the next year that I gave percentile, uh, which was the second attempt,
Mm-hmm.
I got some 20 marks maths. That's
Oh,
just because of lack of practice.
mm-hmm.
It's not like
I mean, you had 3 days of practice.
there 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
So it's about practicing. The concepts are not very tough. So even for those out there who are non-engineers, you have to treat it just like another subject. My suggestion to all out there will be to focus on trigonometry and then really well, because once you get control of those two subjects, you get covered at least 50-60% of the question. So assuming that even if the paper is difficult, you can safely assume that you will be able to attempt 8 or 10 questions from there, roughly. So that is one good area that people should cover, but
So
not
geometry.
necessarily. It
So
depends.
geometry overall.
Geometry. Geometry.
Hmm. Okay.
And but
What do you
my
consider as something which people spend a lot of time on and it hardly comes, or like it's hardly asked?
I had trouble solving number system problems, but now I see there are like 1 or 2 questions that those concepts mixed with something else. 34, unless you are targeting 80-90 marks in quant, number system, personally, in my opinion, I don't know, it may change, but in my opinion, spending, it takes just too much of time, too less. If you are going through a shortage, maybe you can push this for later.
Okay. Uh, I mean, how are your scores like when it came to your mocks? Were they like stable like in maths, like in English, or were they like fluctuating?
No, they used to fluctuate up. Not English was stable. English was very stable, but quant I had single-digit marks in quant. So people saying quant is for non, engineers are good in quant. No, it does not happen.
Okay. What?
even through even through my engineering and before engineering, I could not get into IIT because I had scored 13 marks out of 100 in quant in maths. I
In the
had always
JEE?
been weak in maths.
Okay.
JEE
Okay.
exam, yes.
Okay. Okay.
Similarly, going to engineering, I used to get D or C grade in maths, even in the 2 years of maths that we were taught in engineering college. I had never been good in maths.
Okay.
This year was okay.
Okay. How many attempts did you make this year, roughly, if you remember, in maths this year?
Close to 20. Close to 20.
And what was your accuracy like? I mean, what was your final score, roughly?
I got 40. I had calculated 46. I got 45 points something.
Okay. Okay.
Around 15,
That's
16,
that's
16 correct.
yeah. That's, I mean, so almost 90% accuracy is roughly what you're looking. 85 to 90% accuracy is what you're looking at. All right. Let's go to the section which troubled you a lot, which was DILR, right? What is to do there? What should people do there?
Uh, so DLR, I had taken up a lot of strategies. I tried doing a lot of things. Not everything worked, but this course was, your course was very exhausting. It had covered almost everything. So in CAT, there are typical questions which are, straight out of the book, and then there are questions which you have to think on your feet. Those straight out of the books questions, even if they are lengthy, I thought I should attempt them. Being able to think on my feet, especially because I have been nervous. There is a mental state which builds because you have not done well last year. I to play safe, even if something is taking too much of your time,
You're
but
in
you are
slot
sure
one or
that
slot two?
one.
Slot one. Okay.
Uh, No, I think I was in slot 2. Yeah, I was
It
in
doesn't
slot 2.
matter.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Okay. Uh,
So,
so
so
what are
I
the key
tried
areas
solving
you
those
think?
questions which were,
Okay, so you're saying that you first went and judged the question based on with how familiar you are with it or not.
yeah. So I take 8 or 9 minutes out of the 60 minutes reading all the questions.
You did
So the
that.
seventh set, I did that.
I mean,
I had,
doesn't it make you nervous that you're spending like 8 minutes without even looking at? I mean, doesn't the clock bother you? Like, I mean, 8 minutes are done, or was it your usual strategy in your mocks also?
I covered it. I covered it.
Okay.
I I had implemented the strategy, close to somewhere close to November, October time, because September end, two back-to-back mocks, LR, I got single digits,
Ah,
and
shit.
I was very sad. I mean, I got depressed. Did not know what to do. I was thinking that this whole, last year was going to be this year was going to be a deja vu for me. So that's when I across, people told me you read these questions first before attempting. So I started, giving, people generally devote 5 to 6 minutes reading all the questions, but I couldn't make sense out of, those questions in 5 to 6 minutes. So I had to go ahead and give 8 to 9 minutes. In that 8 to 9 minutes, the seventh I was able to see that that set is going to take me less than 6 to 7 minutes. So I did not move on to the next question. Did that question there itself, and I was sort of relieved. Okay, I have scored 12 marks now. So it is better than last year. And I have 45 minutes remaining in my hand. So that's when, that was a real confidence booster. I had 45 in my hand. I knew I have scored
You're already
12 marks.
better than
I
last year.
wanted
Yeah.
somewhere, I am already better than last year. I just wanted it to cross 20. Somehow it should cross 20 if I do not do well in cat. I just wanted this fear to go away.
Uh-huh.
So the next set that I solved, that was also easy. I solved it. So overall, going for, I solved 4 sets, but there was this set on currency. I
Yeah,
uh,
currency exchange. Yeah.
yeah. So I took the wrong, the division factor. I think something I did wrong. All the answers matched, and all of them were wrong. So I ended up getting somewhere around 29, 30 marks in the air.
So overall, about 90 percentile as such, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
91, 92.
okay. Besides holding your nerve, right? Besides holding your nerve in DI and LR, what is the key part which you'll advise to people? Like, I mean, like, how do you like? Uh, why do you think DILR is so difficult, according to you?
Uh, Mostly because English you can practice. Font you can practice. DILR, I have seen CAT. CAT has, keep giving questions which are not very familiar ones. And if you go ahead during an exam attempting a question that you are not familiar with, and then if you fail to do it, your confidence goes really below, and your performance stoops down accordingly. So my advice to people out there would be, do the areas that that will build your confidence, and then you can go to challenge yourself, play a little ball game with the DILR section. So the reason why this is tricky is because it's new and it challenges you upfront, as in, if you have not seen the kind of question or the kind of challenge the question is going to pose. So you have to think at same instant and try to solve it.
This is
If
very
you don't
similar
solve it,
to
your
this
confidence
is
goes
this is
down.
this is almost very similar to what Shashank came and said on LRDI, is that you can do 500 questions on LRDI. The 501st question is going to be a different question. So yeah, I mean, so you need to
Absolutely.
think on your feet at that time. Okay, so now we have looked at your broad overall strategy for LRDI, quant, and English. You will definitely have some sort of like a preparation plan. You mentioned like you would take 2 mocks on a week in a weekend, one on a Saturday, analyze it, and then probably one on the other day. Because you were working in a job, I mean, working on a job. Did you ever thought like I should take a break? There are a lot of people who do that. I mean, because you said like 3 years were going on, and did you ever consider leaving your job and preparing for CAT?
Not really, because one, I know for a fact that I had a friend sitting there in IIM Ahmedabad. He was there to advise me against it. Anyway, I was not going to leave my job because my profile was building.
Mm-hmm.
So the first year I was looking after commuter segment. When I say commuter segment, so the bikes launched by Bajaj, CT100, Platina, Discover. So I was looking after these bikes. Second year, I was looking after electric vehicles. And this third year is when I was looking after international collaboration. So now we are in collaboration with KTM, Husqvarna, and Triumph.
Mm-hmm.
And KTM is something that you see there was
there was a growth in your job anyways. Yeah.
So I like my job. I am a mechanical engineer. Since I have been brought up, it's not just 4 years in college.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I loved my job. Plus, I did not want there to be a gap in between my studies. And the thing about MBA, if I cannot handle two things right now, how would I be able to handle later on? This is a very common thing that people say, and I think this is very true. If I cannot handle work pressure right now and manage my study simultaneously, coping up with first year in MBA or work after MBA, it's going to be difficult. So I don't think people leaving their job or taking a gap, from my side, it's a big no-no.
What was like your preparation schedule? Like, I mean, did you have like a timetable? You will study one day maths, one day English. How many hours did you put in every day? How many hours did you put in the weekends, etc.?
This year, so I'll tell you my plan.
Yeah, go ahead.
English this year English, I did not put in anything. I just wrote the mocks religiously. That I have done. Quant, there were times when I was not doing good, I had to, and that was like once or twice in a month, when I had to go back and revise a few things. Majority of my time, that is 4 days of a week, 2 hours every day, roughly 2 hours, I used to put in I used to work on my DLR. Most of that time went in watching your videos.
Okay.
So schedule was like, I used to come from office at around 6:30. I used to straight go to my bed because I was mentally exhausted throughout the day. I'll wake up at around 8:30. Dinner, talk to my parents and friends. Sit for studying religiously by 9:30 or 10. Study till 12. Go to sleep. Morning again, I'll go to office. I'll be fresh. So
Okay.
this happened from Monday. Friday was my day, and then again Saturday. So there is this thing about these test series, right? People, if you write in the slot, the results come in 3 days, 2 days later on, right? So what I did was I did not attempt, the ongoing mocks. I used to attempt a mock which was 1 week before.
Missed. You basically used to
miss everything. Yeah. So the moment I write, I'll have the results in front of me, and the moment I am in the zone to analyze the mocks, I could do that. So that's the best strategy that I think I had devised last year. So afternoon I'll write the mocks, eat, go to sleep. In the evening I'll be ready to analyze my mock. The thing about ongoing is the results itself come after 3-4 days. So you tend to forget what were you doing in the exam. So that's something that really helped me.
Okay. And did
My
you?
general schedule was again.
Okay. So sorry. Did you like? Did you do mocks in bursts, or you were regular with mocks? Like, I mean, I will do like two mocks every week, or did you like stockpile your mocks? Okay, I will do 20 mocks in the last week or something like that. Did you do what kind of
Uh,
preparation was that?
so June, July, and August, I had religiously done mocks per week.
Biryani
September,
also
I
every week.
did see yeah, biryani also every week. September,
Okay.
I was again on my DLR score, and so I finally decided, step back a little bit, see how things are going, why things are happening the way things are happening. I again, I less time on mocks, started, working more on my basics. This was September last year. I had like very little time. October, I wrote very little, very less mocks. I mean, but it was well spread out. So I used to write one during a weekday. There was the holidays, and I used to, take a half day just to write a mock. So 2 half days and 2 days here and there. I wrote two mocks per week, but it well spread out. Every third or fourth day I was writing a mock. And the mocks that I had given in those last 3 4 months, I was, redoing.
Going through
So
them.
I met
Okay.
this. So I met this person. His name was Gautam Puri. He is the co-founder of Career Launcher.
Mm-hmm.
So he asked me to, redo all the mistakes that I have done in previous mocks. So that is
Mm-hmm.
something that I did, and that really helped me push because so far I had been thinking that silly mistakes did not have a solution. But the thing is, if you redo those mistakes, you might just keep them in mind that I am prone to making these kind of silly mistakes. So that boosted my marks by maybe 5 7 marks. Two
That's
questions
good
better.
enough. That's good enough, actually. Yeah.
That's good. That's actually good enough. So the whole October went like that. November, this November, Diwali was somewhere around 6th of November. So there was this whole weekend that I had, and I took 10 days off from work. So from to 26th, I was on leave, uh, including weekends and Diwali holidays and all. But in reality, I was on leave for 10 working days. And those 10 days, again, revised all the mistakes that I have done, all the mocks that I have given. Maybe giving 4 5 mocks, maybe 7 mocks during that. Again,
So a
revising
mock every
everything.
day. So a mock
The
every day.
not I was not giving mocks every day. I was revising all the mistakes or the mocks that I
Revising.
have given already.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that had helped. Giving mocks every day, it could work for some people. I could see that it was not working for me. I was not getting time to revise, analyze, or maybe make strategy. November and October is the time when you finally decide how to, go ahead with the exam.
Okay. A lot
And
of people also,
they,
a lot of people, okay. When it comes to mock analysis, a lot of people have multiple strategies of doing it. How did you analyze a mock? I mean, how did you go about analyzing a mock? What can you take us through your process, or what worked for you?
so I started with English because English took me like 15 20 minutes to analyze. Most of my questions were correct. So the ones that I've already gotten correct, I wouldn't even look at them. They are all right. I am pretty confident that they'll be fine. The ones that I got wrong, I would again look at them again and see what other I would have answered, what I could have answered, or maybe try to revise why did I choose this option? Because I was fresh. I had given the exam in the morning, so I could in most probabilities I could recollect what I was thinking. So do that. Try to see where I went wrong. In English there is this that one word in the question makes all the difference. There could be you know just the sometimes it means one word. If you know the exact meaning of that word, you will know what the question is exactly asking, because people in general are able to get two options very easily. They are stuck between two options. If you sometimes you need to reread the question, and then you know you will be able to actually eliminate the final one. So sometimes, most of the times, I was able to do that. Sometimes when I got wrong, this was the most often repeated mistake that I did not read the question carefully. If you read the question carefully, you might be able to
I think
get it
it.
correct.
I think it is. I think with you specifically in English, the biggest reason why only that was the most often was because you're probably too confident, if I'm not mistaken, in English. So that's why your silly mistakes
Yes,
were more than anything else.
100% correct. I used to get like I used to attempt 22 or 25 questions in RC. I used to get 18 correct. On a good day, I would get 20. So it's sometimes it used to go as low as 15 correct. So it used to vary, and that most of that the biggest reason was this.
Okay.
I felt very much comfortable with it. Coming
Okay.
to DIL,
DILR. Okay. How did you go about
I
analyzing that?
first I see what questions I have gotten correct. So maybe two sets at the max on a good day, three sets. So that still left me with 5 to 6 sets that I had to redo. I would try to redo those questions on a with a free mind with no time limit and all. So those questions I was not able to get right. Maybe one or two more I would be able to solve, but most of the time there were 2 to 3 sets which I was not able to solve. So again, I'll mark the review, write them somewhere, see how the process goes. The next day, or maybe 2 3 days back, or the next time that I am revising the mocks, I will specifically look for these questions and see how they are done. So I had classified the DILR questions into easy, medium, and difficult levels. Easy ones I should not miss. Difficult ones I should not touch. It is the medium ones which I had to, finally either do or not do. And a majority of questions, out of the 8 DILR sets, 2 will be very easy, very difficult. 4 will be of mediocre, difficulty level. So at least people should aim for getting at least 2 out of them correct, and in the process not lose time. So my basic strategy was even during mocks, if I have gotten 2 correct, the next 6 I would see what all should I have attempted and versus what I had attempted. So this is what made me realize that I should spend time reading all, which I did.
Okay.
So that's how DLR works.
Okay. What about maths? I mean, like maths, would you concentrate on just checking the questions that you could not get during the parts? Did you start learning something extra, or you were confident that what I know is good enough? I will just revise some of the topics. And how did you go about analyzing maths?
So maths, attempting and analyzing maths questions were very objective for me. I used to attack a question just for I did not think what chapter has come from or what theories might be behind. I just saw a question. I know all the theory in maths. I would try to apply whichever is applicable. So there is no reason why you could not use percentages in profit and loss, and you know so whatever is applicable, you just apply it. As long as you're getting the solution, you are right. So that was my strategy. Because in maths, it's very objective, right? If you get the right concepts, you are right. So even analyzing, I used to try to solve those questions. More often not, given the amount of extra time that I had, I was able to get them correct. There were questions, obviously, in every mock that I did not know, roughly 3 to 4, maybe 5 questions sometimes. Did not know. I used to learn from them. I did not, go back to seeing books, what theory has, this question has come from. I used to just read that question, see the way if it is something totally new, so then there are there are n number of theorems. So there are theorems that used to randomly pop up. So I used to maybe note them down for future reference. In general, maths was also something that I used to attack very objective, question by question, not thinking that this question might come from that.
There are
The
people who
approach was very
maintain okay, there are people who maintain an Excel sheet of their scores, the area which they answered, area which they did not answer. How detailed was your Excel sheet or something like that?
my Excel sheet was just one sheet. Had the mock, the institute that I had enrolled with. Maybe there was time, there was a career launch, and there was IIM. So mock belonged to which institute, and then individual scores and percentages. And then there
Okay.
was a separate section, the final row, in which during analyzing I would enter question numbers that maybe for future reference. That is all that I had done for.
That's actually pretty detailed. I mean, like with 50, 60 mocks, I mean, 40, 50 mocks that you took, I think that's a very nice way of doing it. Okay. Given that you have covered all the theory parts, I mean, let's look at the second part very briefly. I mean, we'll look at how you went ahead with your interview. What was your interview experience like with IIM Ahmedabad? I mean, like, uh, you said like you would have filled FMS also, and you did not even bother attending the interview for FMS because I am Ahmedabad results are out. Uh, a lot of people say that because of the ROI, FMS is a better college than I am Ahmedabad. What's your view?
So in India in general, MBA very people have made it a reason for they see their economic prospect here. They are very marketalized this MBA. My uh, reason for MBA has not been money for years. It started with money, obviously, but for the past 2 years, it has not been money. So I did not look at MBA from the kind of job or the kind of money it is going to land me into or the kind of loan that I was going to incur. When you remove the money part, there is no reason why you would compare FMS with IIM.
And you are actually doing operations, right? You're going to special. I mean, you
I am doing
also you're going to do general management with. I mean, you eventually would also like to work in operations, the type of
supply
work.
chain and operations.
And you're not looking at NITI also. I thought NITI was the best course in India.
It was a good college. It was so I had specifically targeted 5 colleges: Ahmedabad, Bangalore, Calcutta, FMS, XLRI. And there
Mhm.
were 3 backups: Lucknow, Indore, Kozhikode.
Okay.
So I had converted ABC, and K. Excel, these guys, I am from Jamshedpur. Did not even give me a call. Not because I did not do well in DM, but
Okay.
anyway, I felt like Vibhishan hai. They should have given me a call. Anyway,
Okay.
so I got calls from all my targets except for XLRI. So 7 calls. I gave 5 interviews, converted all 5 of them. The only that I did not give was FMS and Indore. And Ahmedabad results were out by then, and I wanted to join Ahmedabad. Uh, I had all the reasons to join Bangalore. Bangalore rankings have improved. It has gone above Ahmedabad this year. My Bangalore.
Which ranking has it
My
gone
girlfriend
above?
lives in Bangalore.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, it has. So
Mhm.
I had all the reasons to an MBA from Bangalore, but I wanted to go to Ahmedabad, and everyone supported me at that. So there was no reason why I would go for FMS or NITI.
Okay.
NITI did not even made it to my list.
Okay. Uh, just a couple of parts about it. I mean, like, how grilling was your interview process in these? I mean, what were your general questions which were asked across these 5, 6 interviews that you gave?
All these 5 interviews, there were two very common points. Since I'm from Jamshedpur, they are going to ask me lot of stuff about Tata. Luckily, I knew most of those things. The second was, since I've been working in Bajaj, they wouldn't ask me a lot. I want to make it a point here that none of my interviews was I asked, in detail about my work experience or the job that I am doing. They asked a lot about what Bajaj family. Why is there a alleged fight between Rajiv Bajaj and Bajaj? Why did Bajaj stop making Chetak scooter? It was very related to the
The
company I
business,
worked
yeah.
in,
Okay.
not very much
Mm-hmm.
related to specifically to my job role.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot about Tatas and a lot about cooking. So I'm Ahmedabad. I explained about how they asked me what do you. So I said almost everything that I can. That's a. So they said, how do you make a missile power? And that took me like 2.5 minutes to explain. The next time in Bangalore interview, asked me what is the kind of chicken that you make. If you have a specific variety. So I explained him for another 2 to 3 minutes. I explained him how to make chettinad chicken. So Tata's, Bajaj family, cooking, and my other which is motorcycling. These four things have been the highlight of all these interviews.
Okay.
So,
The last part that we'll look at is basically like all the uh, what do you call the additional factors which are there. I mean, so just want to know, like, how did you source? I mean, what was the biggest fear that you had, but it never came up? I mean, like, you were always fearing that this is going to happen through the process, but actually, at the end of it, right now, you think that that was stupid of me to think about that fear. What do you think is your biggest fear which never materialized?
I thought so in January when the results came out, I actually met with an accident and I had to undergo a surgery. So it took a lot of my time.
Mhm.
December, I spent the whole of December partying. I was not in touch with current affairs at all,
Mhm.
and that was my fear, actually. I would say. I am Ahmedabad. They did ask a bit about general knowledge. They named some 5 sports person. I am not into sports anyway, so I wouldn't have realistically named them and could have told what belong to. That was the only thing that I thought was going to, a hurdle in the interviews. Later on, they did not actually turn out to be hurdles. My interviews
Okay.
never went in that.
Okay. How many WhatsApp groups and Telegram groups and Facebook groups have you been part of, and what have you done with those?
So I was part of this Facebook group called iQuanta, but there was a lot of random stuff. There was barely any preparation going on that group. So I left it somewhere around August or September. I couldn't do anything
What about
with that.
WhatsApp groups?
I, WhatsApp groups, there were groups which I was deliberately added, by these coaching centers, but I had all of them on silent. I did not see anything on WhatsApp. Also.
Okay. Uh,
Of course, not to mention, I was in touch with you whenever I wanted,
that
but
was, yeah.
I rarely.
Okay.
But the thing is, I did not use social media as much. People exploit social media heavily for their preparation. I did not do that.
Mm. Okay. I
I
mean, that's
being a
that's that's
mechanical
how.
engineer, I'm not very techy.
Okay.
I'm, yeah.
One last piece of advice which you would like to give to all. I mean, like, okay. give me two, or I mean any number of piece. Like, what do you think that anyone who's generally preparing for CAT, I mean, what should be his overall approach about this exam? Forget about strategy and all those things. What is the biggest thing which you think a person should keep in mind about CAT?
I think CAT is something that everyone can, do well. Everyone can score 99 percentile. It's not very tough. Everyone who is preparing for CAT has the required, IQ. People call it IQ. People think I don't have the IQ or intelligence to, score 99. From my perspective, I think everyone has the uh, IQ to score 99, but they have to put in the required number of hours that is going to take them there. They have, they cannot run away from hard work. People will call it persistence, people will call it anything else, uh, but you cannot run away from those hours. You have to put in those. You have to, and that has to be in right direction. There are teachers out there who are going to help with the process, but finally it is you who has
You
to
have
work
to
hard,
you have to work
work
hard.
in the right direction and get there.
Okay. Uh, Thank you very much, Manish. We will bring this to a close. It's almost been an hour. It's a pleasure having Manish around. One additional question which came up. How are you financing your education? You're taking a loan.
Yeah.
You're taking an
So
educational loan, as said.
I have put in 1 lakh as the acceptance fee.
Yeah.
And that's all that I'm putting from my side.
Okay.
Everything else is.
Okay. Uh, as I said, it's a pleasure having Manish here. I mean, he is actually on a vacation in his village. I mean, if you have a problem because of the video quality, or little, we are sorry because of that. But it's it's better that we actually got Manish to speak rather than not having him around. All the best for joining IIM Ahmedabad. Thank you very much for all your words. Uh, we will see you again soon. Good night, guys.